Against all odds, I'm back. I never thought in 1,000 years that I would hold this book again. The weight of it in my hands and the smell of its parchment whisks my memory back to the tragic accident that forever changed my life. Although I was not around to record it, 30 years ago I got into a fight with my brother and was knocked through my very own interdimensional portal into a universe beyond imagination. The last 3 decades have been frightening, exciting, and cruel, and strange. And as I find myself back in my old study, writing a journal, it is hard to shake the feeling that I have awoken from a bizarre 30-year dream. How is it that I am back? It turns out that despite my warnings and the possibility of global catastrophe, Stanley managed to reactivate the portal and bring me back to my home dimension. While his intentions might have been pure, he was just as careless bringing me back as he was knocking me through in the first place. He destroyed the portal in the process, risked endangering the entire fabric of reality, and even found himself the target of a federal manhunt by the U.S. government. A logical progression from his days in the principal's office. If it weren't for Fiddleford's memory ray, I'd likely be writing from some secret government prison by now. Fortunately, as far as the government is concerned, our encounter never happened. Triggering powers will likely get deja vu the next time they hear the words gravity falls, and probably nothing more. But I should not dwell on the past. There will be time enough to ruminate on my years spent traveling through the dimensional rift, the strange things I saw there. First, I must focus on the present, and on the problems created by a man who was responsible for my latest twist of fate. My brother Stanley. Hero or idiot? When I first saw him, I assumed I'd once again found myself in an alternate parallel dimension. Gone was the stubborn, mullet-haired, frost-bitten vagabond who had pushed me into the portal many years earlier, replaced by a wrinkly carnival barker with my father's face, fez, and girdle. I'd spent the last 30 years contemplating what I might do if I saw Stanley again. Would I even be able to look him in the eye after what he did? Would I apologize for shutting him out of my life? As it turned out, instinct took over, and I punched him right in the face. I kind of feel bad about that. Number 1. Face. Inherited Dad's nose and Mom's untrustworthy tongue. Number 2. Gut. I've spent the last 30 years keeping up an extensive exercise and diet regimen. Stanley hasn't. Number 3. Suit. Dad's suit, which he gave me after graduation. He thought I'd wear it for my award. I thought I'd wear it to accept an award. Instead, Stanley has used it to trick tourists and sell keychains. 4. Fez. Dad's hat. He never did tell us much about the Royal Order of the Holy Mackerel. 5. Machinery. Operated my portal like a monkey pretending to be a mechanic. Half of the instruments were held together with duct tape. Yes, despite the extra pounds and wrinkles, Stanley is still the irresponsible, shortcut-loving, overgrown child I remember from the past. Most unbelievable, his first thought upon seeing me again was to expect a thank you. A thank you, after destroying my life. Even worse, he spent the last 30 years avoiding the law by faking his own death, impersonating me, and scamming the local townsfolk with a money-making ruse so absurd it would even make my profit-loving father blush. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And it turns out he's become a fraud for a living. I nearly fainted when I saw what he had done to my lab. The Mystery Shack? Unbelievable. Once a haven of scientific study, the cabin I built with my grant money has been transformed by Stanley over the years into a hokey freak show that mocks everything about the study of the paranormal. Number 1. Sign. Designed to catch attention. Infested with owls, and for some reason, a goat. Number 2. Golf cart. Clearly stolen from a nearby Santa's village. Number 3. Tourists. I chose this spot for seclusion, and now there are rhyming signs advertising for it 10 miles up the highway. Number 4. Signage. There are legal disclaimers in almost impossible to see fine print painted up and down nearly every entryway. It's a wonder Stanley hasn't been sued yet. Number 5. Weather vane. Weather vane makes no sense. W, H, A, and T aren't directions. What does that even mean? Everything has changed. My inventing room? Now a hall of ludicrous taxidermies. I mean, what the heck is a hampire? Hampire? My thinking parlor? Now a man cave. Tackier than a TGI Apple Rucker's family restaurant. My T-Rex skull is being used as a coffee table. Even my storage room is now an overpriced gift shop, more cluttered than Pines' Ponds. A tourist asked me if she could get a discount on a Burpin' Sanford Pines figurine, since it wasn't burpin' loud enough. These are the bane of my existence. I guess. Walking around my old lab, I feel like a dead man ghost haunting a strange funhouse mirror version of his past life. I resolve to take back my home and rebuild the life that Stanley has taken from me. But I must wait until the summer is over, for the sake of the summertime newcomers I find living and working here. My impressions of them are as follows. Zeus. Upon first seeing this specimen, I believed him to be one of the hairless gopher people of the dimension Rodentus 7. I was shocked to discover that he is actually a human adult man. Quarantined him for testing due to exposure to portal radiation. Findings? Number 1. Hair growth appears in strange, awkward patches. Is he a man? Is he a baby? Number 2. Evidence of autolysis suggests that he survived a zombie bite. When I brought this up, he laughed and said, "That was one crazy party, dude." Number 3. Giggles when prodded. Number 4. Seems to have consumed a nearly infinite amount of pizza. That, of course, is impossible. I may need to recheck my instruments. The strangest thing about him is his utter opposite of my brother Stanley. That mark on his shirt is so familiar. Wendy Corduroy. I recognize the name instantly. Stanley's other hired helper is the teenage daughter of boyish Dan Corduroy, the local lumberjack who helped construct my lab back in the 1980s. I hear he's grown quite a bit since then. Zeus had apparently told her everything about me by the time we met. She was so unfazed by seeing me that she simply said, "Sup, Stan, too," and started casually typing to her friends on one of the computing phones that seems so popular in the present. Computing phone. This gadget can do everything from sending a picture of a winking cat face to ruining a celebrity's career in seconds. I'll stick to my typewriter and rotary dial, thanks. Wendy complimented my turtleneck in a way that didn't seem sincere. I worried that she is appreciating me ironically. That ice bag. Am I losing my mind? Mabel Pines. At least there's some good news. I am a great uncle. Or grunkle, as Stanley seems oddly insistent on saying. Apparently, Sherman Pines' grandkids have been staying with Stanley for the summer. It's hard to believe the parents would trust these kids with Stanley. They clearly thought he was me. I was instantly charmed by Mabel's enthusiastic attitude, although a little hesitant about her utter fascination with my sixth finger. She has already started making me finger puppets despite my request for her not to. After getting her to calm down for a moment, I eventually subjected Mabel to the same testing as Zeus, in order to be an odd specimen as well. Number 1. When I asked her to say "ah," she screamed for a whole minute and coughed up glitter. Not normal. Number 2. Cheers the family sweet tooth. Diet seems to consist solely of items with the word gummy in them. I will need to discuss nutrition with Stanley. Number 3. Apparently knits a new sweater every day. I may request her help in repairing mine. Number 4. I gave her several different Rorschach tests to make sure she wasn't psychologically damaged by her experience with the portal. That's how she interpreted the inkblot designs. Bunny, lollipop, friendship wand. These interpretations are unusual and may need to do further psychological testing. Dipper Pines. Twins aren't in the family. Although unfortunately, that is the only family resemblance I see in this overly eager, unusually sweaty 12-year-old. Every time I made direct eye contact with this fretful child, he started gagging like he was going to throw up. And when I tested his heart rate for side effects of dimension fever, I found it going a mile a minute. The only thing I could glean from his stammering was that, shockingly, he was the one to find Journal 3's hiding place in the forest. I'm not sure how accessing my journal is even possible. The only explanation is that the circuitry must have become unstable over time. Perhaps water damage loosened the machinery. Heart rate. I'm grateful to have my journal back. A quick look-through reveals that he has been treating this important scientific document as his own personal diary and generally scrubbing over my work with his own notations. I will have to review when I have a moment to survey the damage. Observations. Number 1. Constantly sweating. Perhaps he takes after Stanley. Number 2. Fidgeting suggests he may still be recovering from shock of portal contact. Number 3. Very thin limbs. Almost noodly. Were his bones weakened by exposure to portal radiation? Number 4. Rank odor. Clearly hasn't bathed recently. Stanley should never be put in charge of children. Number 5. Refused to take off his hat. That hat. This is far more than a coincidence. The sense of deja vu I get looking at these symbols is overwhelming. The cave writing I saw many years ago said that these symbols, and others, had the power to bring about great change, but so many prophecies and legends turned out to be Bill's lies. Could this just be another one of Bill's tricks? How well did the ancient people of Gravity Falls truly understand Bill's power? What are the odds that this randomly assorted group could have anything to do with my destiny? I must not give this too much thought. The time for ancient superstitions is past. I must focus on scientific ways to address the troubles I fear are coming.